Hello, and thank you for joining me for this fourth day of our Holy Week reflections, where I will be reading parts of the biblical narrative from the Passion story, and alongside that reading character monologues from this book, The Risen Dust by Rachel Mann. Today, of course, is Maundy Thursday in the church's calendar, where we would usually celebrate and remember that Last Supper that Jesus had with his disciples before his death. And usually we would celebrate this by gathering together and having a communion service in church. And of course, in the current situation, we are not able to do that. But just because we are unable to gather physically together, it does not mean that we cannot gather together in spirit. And today in the video there will be some images shown on the screen that have been made, or the objects in them have been made by people from the local communities. And there'll be a picture of a rooster that was made by children at the local primary school, and a scene of the Last Supper with the characters made by people from the church congregations. Today our reflections and readings will be around focusing on that first meal with Jesus and his disciples in the upper room. So our Bible reading today comes from the Gospel of Mark, which is chapter 14, verses 22 to 31. While they were eating, Jesus took a loaf of bread, and after blessing it, he broke it, gave it to them and said, "Take, this is my body." Then he took a cup, and after giving thanks, he gave it to them, and all of them drank from it. He said to them, "This is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many. Truly I tell you, I will never again drink of the fruit of the vine until that day when I drink it new in the kingdom of God." When they had sung the hymn, they went out to the Mount of Olives. And Jesus said to them, "You will all become deserters, for it is written, 'I will strike the shepherd and the sheep will be scattered.' But after I am raised up, I will go before you to Galilee." Peter said to him, "Even though all become deserters, I will not." Jesus said to him, "Truly I tell you, this day, this very night, before the cock crows twice, you will deny me 3 times. But Peter said vehemently, "Even though I must die with you, I will not deny you." And all of them said the same. Our character narrative today comes from the perspective of Peter. Who hasn't been so caught up in a dream you thought it was real? We've all ridden on eagle's wings, lived a life of glory, been heroes and kings in our dreams. And then you wake, and it all retreats like the sea from the shore. And the new day begins, and you're nothing again. Are we waking now? It was all going so well, the palms and the flowers cast beneath our feet, the smiles on everyone's face. This was going to be it. Our peaceful revolution, our Jerusalem spring. And as we entered the city, like princes supporting our king, we asked, what next? And as if to prove we weren't ready for the answer, he started turning tables over. And then it was all shouting and anger, moneylenders cast out, furious words for priest and peasant alike. I don't know what I'd expected, but it wasn't that. He'd asked us to be fishers of men and women, Then he starts tearing things down. He starts saying the temple has to fall in 3 days to be built again. He says he has to be lifted up. I've never doubted him, but for a moment I swear he went mad. And now we've come to this night. A night for food and memories and storytelling. A night to remember our salvation. A night for the meal which shapes us. A night to remember ourselves, where we've been, who we are, and where we are heading. But it's never been like this. The words he used were so odd, so close to the old familiar words and yet strange and terrible too. He talked of blood and flesh, of covenants, of grace, of grain broken open to set everyone free. Words I didn't understand, but felt. Cold and warm, terrible and comforting, all at the same time. I wanted to hide. Like Moses in the rock when the Holy One passed by. It was like being a kid again. As if a child had been invited into the Holy of Holies and knew the glory of God was going to kill him right then. But he didn't stop there. He said one of us was about to betray him. And it was like a nightmare then. Like falling into Sheol and discovering the dead could walk and talk, and there was nothing you could say to comfort them. And he was saying my name, though I heard it like an echo. Peter, before this night is through, you will deny me 3 times. Truth is, I laughed. Those words broke the spell. They were silly and absurd. I told him, heaven save me, that he'd lost it. But when he looked at me, I knew he wasn't messing. The sweat on his forehead, dark as tears of blood in the candlelight, and the worry in his eyes, like someone who already knows he's dead, but can't yet quite believe it. If I live for 100 years, I won't forget that look. I know he's wrong, but he believed what he said. Just that fact was a knife in my guts. Me, whom he had named his rock. And now our meal, our meat and wine and bitter herbs, our sacrifice, is done. And he wants to go and pray. And I am scared. I want to sleep. Surely everything will be clear, will be a little better, if we all just have a little sleep.